Have you ever wondered where God was in this pandemic? Did you ever wonder where God was in all of this pandemic? Of course, if you're not a believer, it doesn't make any difference. But there are a lot of people in the world who are theists. That is, they believe in a God. Some call God Yahweh, some call God Allah. There are a lot of names for God. And there are a lot of believers, billions of people who believe in a God. But one of the things that is troubling for most believers is the fact that evil exists. Bad stuff happens. Tragedy, injustice. A lot of these things happen, and question comes, where was God? My family lost my granddaughter back in 2014 in a car crash. And I know that that could have been avoided. That sometimes I think I just wish he hadn't have gotten in the car, and God could have stopped it. Why didn't he? Those are just reasonable questions that we all have, I think, as believers. And in the pandemic right now, the question would come, well, why did God allow this to happen? Where is God? Why doesn't God just, give a cure for it or so forth? These are legitimate questions, I think. And I don't want you to feel guilty about asking a question like that. Even if you read the Bible, even Jesus on the cross said, why have you forsaken me? That was a question. Was he joking? No, he wasn't joking. He was sincere. So, anyway, I think we have questions about God and why things happen. Bad things happen to good people, or why bad things happen, period. Why there's evil and all of those things. It's a serious question, it really is. There are two questions, I think, that a lot of people are asking today. One, why did this happen? And two, how long is it going to go on? I remember one of my teachers back in elementary school came to class one day, and there were about 25 of us in there, and she said, how many of you in here believe in God? Of course, everybody in that class raised their hand. Well, I do. And she said, would you like to hear a Bible story? Of course, who was going to say no to the teacher? And she said, I want to tell you a Bible story about a prophet. He was a prophet of God, and he was really disappointed the way things were happening in his country. And much like we are today, I guess you'd say. And she told this story, said he was very disappointed in the things that happened in his country. And so he prays to God and he says, God, why is this happening? This is in Habakkuk, by the way. And why is this happening? And the other question that he raised was, how long are you going to stand by and do nothing? And then the teacher said, how many of you have ever wondered why God allowed something to happen? I think we were about 7 or 8, 9 years old. And by that time, we had some things happen that we wondered why God allowed it to happen. And of course, we raised our hand, and she said, well, this prophet had the same questions, like, why is this happening, and how long is it going to go on, and you do nothing? And then the teacher said God responded to this prophet by saying, I am doing something in your day, and you can mark it down, you can write it down, so that everybody will be able to see it. That I am doing something, and what I'm doing is I'm raising up the Babylonians to come and take your country captive and to take you back to their country. And the prophet was shocked. He was like, you can't do that. And that's what he said. You can't do that. You're too just. You're too righteous. You can't do that. And the teacher said, how many of you in here believe that God can do anything he wants to? And of course, we all raised our hand, And she said, this is an illustration right here that if you're going to believe in God, one of the things that you believe in is that God can do what God wants to and doesn't have to give a reason for it. So we could say God is love, but love behaves in ways sometimes, according to my dad back when I was a kid getting it, love behaves in ways that you wouldn't approve of, perhaps, And so if you're asking the question as a believer, why is this happening? And how long is this going to go on before your God does something about it or is doing something about it? And already you may be saying, well, my God is already doing something about it. And if so, good. But if you're asking those questions, you're in good company. You're even in the company of a prophet of Israel who raised those very same questions and got an answer that he did not approve of. And remember, I said that.